Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Affordable, accessible, inclusive, and quality childcare is fundamental to our province, our communities, and our children. PCs know this. Just look at our last 3-year plan. Existing operators have stated a $2.4 million cut by the Gallant government in their operating funding will have a negative impact to jobs, parent fees, and will lead to closures. In fact, it was announced last Friday a daycare on Main Street, Shediac, named Shediac Daycare, is closing as a result of these cuts. To the Minister of Education, are you aware that this closure, and how many other daycares will close as a result of this cut of $2.4 million to private daycare operators?
Honourable Minister of Education.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the question. This gives me the opportunity to repeat how much we want to continue investing in early childhood. I said this before, and I will repeat it. There was no cut. There is a redistribution. The intent of the program was always clear. We want to allow recruiting and the maintaining of staff in daycares in order to allow a good program so that we have a good quality of education. That being said, Mr. Speaker, we can talk about all the reasons, but I'm not going to enter in this debate. I'm going to say that our decision is based on the original intent of the program, and we will continue investing in early childhood as we did in the current budget.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps the Minister of Education doesn't know how many daycares are closing because he won't talk to the daycare operators or hasn't bothered to check the impact of this policy of cutting $2.4 million from private daycare operators, and he doesn't know the impact. Mr. Speaker, on Facebook, this daycare, Garderie Touche-à-Tout Daycare on Main Street, Shediac, has a daycare closing sale this Saturday. And Mr. Speaker, on this Facebook page, the owner has said that among other reasons, yes, the cuts to QIFS for owners for childcare centers is one of the reasons I have decided to close my center. I was already not giving myself a salary at the end of the month, and without that $5 an hour, I am no longer able to function. Can the Minister of Education confirm this is the case for this daycare, and how many other daycares will be closing as a result of this poorly thought-out decision to cut $2.4 million from the private operators of the daycares in New Brunswick?
Honourable Minister of Education.
Monsieur le Président, je suis un peu...
Mr. Speaker, I'm a little bit surprised to hear the member opposite say that that person didn't receive a salary. So the question is not even relevant because there was a measuration of salary.
Lincoln.
Mr. Speaker, again, how offensive to the small business owners of New Brunswick, of the private daycare sector. On one hand, you have the Minister of Finance who says that they want to support private sector to grow our province. On the other hand, you have the Premier and the Minister of Education who's pulling the rug underneath of small business owners, of daycare operators in New Brunswick. And they're saying, they have the audacity to say that their wages that they're making as a small business is going back into the business. And he's being cute with this issue when this is their livelihood, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I have another email from an operation in Hampton. And the owners have said, we have been looking at our options to survive these cuts, but it may come to us having to close. This is the reality in New Brunswick as a result of this cut. This is coming from the operators themselves. This is very clear. The Premier and the Minister of Education, this Cabinet, has no idea what they're doing, has no idea the impact. Will they stop and listen, work with the private sector, work with the daycare operators of New Brunswick, reverse these cuts and put them on hold until you do know what you're doing?
Honourable Minister of Education.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, I'm always disappointed because I notice how we are trying to do fear-mongering in this House. I'm always surprised to see how the official opposition doesn't seem to want to admit all the money that we're investing in early childhood in general. I repeat, $3.5 million more this year. I would also like to know if the member opposite that seems to be screaming today, does he know that it was already well known that this daycare was going to close down? They're trying to blame us, but really they're just trying to do fear-mongering. And last week, when I wanted to meet with people from daycare, I They told people that I wanted to educate them. Mr. Speaker, if we listen to the real recording, this is what I said.
Anytime to explain our point of view and listen to theirs. I'm ready to have a conversation with them and to hear what they have to say.
Minister.